Hello. Welcome back to TNC. In this video, what I'm going to be talking about is the 5 best things that you need to do when you find yourself in a sudden possession, expected or otherwise, of a sum of money injected into your bank account for the first time in your life. So to combat the economic slowdown and the financial hardships that the country might be experiencing as a direct result of the current global pandemic, the Singapore government, in a 3-part stimulus plan, is dispersing sums of money at varying stages of the year to all Singaporeans above the legal age of 21. So depending on your reported income for the financial year of 2019, this total amount in cash dispersed to you in several parts might range anywhere from $600 to even upwards of $13,800. So the purpose of this video really is to give some recommendations on how you might want to manage such a large sum of money. Of course, this video is also highly relevant for anybody who might be starting a job for the first time and getting their very first paycheck. And I completely relate to that about how anxious but also exciting that might be, because that was just me 9 months ago. I mean, at least personally for me, the first time that I got such a big sum of money, it was so surreal and also very confusing. It was probably the largest amount I've ever seen in my bank, and some of y'all might know this, but when I was in school, I was consistently in the red. Like when I mean red, I mean negative amounts in my bank accounts. I was sub-zero, for the last 2 weeks of every month. I'm not even kidding when people say they are broke. I was broke. And that was how bad it was, or at least how bad my spending habits and financial imprudence were. It was pretty, head spinning to suddenly see a huge injection of funds. I absolutely, at that point in time, did not have any solid clue about what I should have done with my money. Before we continue, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. These 2 things will really help with growing a very, very small and new channel, motivating me to put out more relevant and useful content regularly in the days to come. To start, let's go through an overview of how much money you might be expecting from the government stimulus package. City has a great article on that, so I'm going to put a link to that article in the description box below. But at the very baseline, everybody, so all Singaporeans above the legal age of 21, should be getting at least $600 from the Solidarity payout. On top of that, almost everybody watching this video should be getting about $150 in GST vouchers, so that's something that happens every single year. Unless you're not living in Singapore or you own more than one property, which for some reason you're watching this channel, hey, like beggars can't be choosers, I'm not complaining, I will take viewership from anywhere. Also, if the annual value of your home is more than $21,000, then you will also be ineligible for the GST voucher. There's no free and easy way of calculating the AV of your home, but generally speaking, as a guideline, if you're living in a condominium or a landed property, then more likely than not, you're probably not going to be eligible for the GST voucher. If you're living in public housing, so HDB of any sort, most likely you'll be getting about $300, because if the AV of your home is below $13,000, then you'll be getting twice of the $150 baseline. Next, there's also a care and support payment of $900 for people who have earned $28,000 and below for the financial year of 2019. Now, this number decreases to $600 if your income was between $28,000 and $100,000. And if you earn more than $100,000 or you own more than one property, you'll be getting just $300 in a care and support payout. Additionally, if you are a young parent watching this video and you have a child, you will also be eligible for an additional $300. And lastly, if you're self-employed, you'll be getting $9,000 in supplemental income from the government, paid out in $3,000 chunks throughout the year. And that's just the cash component of all the payouts. There are also things like grocery vouchers and SNCC rebates, as well as utilities rebates. Wow, our government is honestly just raining money at this point. Okay, so now that we've gotten those terms and conditions out of the way, get it? Let's talk about what you're gonna do with this payout that you're gonna receive. Okay, so there are 5 very important things, like I've mentioned at the start of the video. The first thing is to really pay off all your high interest debt. Right, this is particularly important because for credit card debt can really go up to like 25-something%. Credit card debts should really be avoided at all costs. If you're in debt using a credit card, consider not using one altogether. Credit card debt also completely ruins your credit score, especially if you're just starting out, and this has long-term ramifications for things down the road like loan applications and future card applications. In the near distant future, I'll be putting out videos in the credit card track where I'll go into details about when and why you should own a credit card. Anyway, paying off all high interest debt is supremely important. It should be the first thing that you're doing. If you have low interest debt outstanding, such as student loans at a very low interest rate, do consider paying them off as well when the interest that you owe are higher than the returns that you might have on some of your current assets. For example, if you currently have outstanding student loans at 3% interest rate, but you're holding your cash position in the DBS multiplier account at 1.4%, then do consider using whatever lump sum money that you might have received from the government this time or your first paycheck to pay off that 3% student loan, provided that the repayment schedule is flexible, which means you can speed up or slow down the repayment process at any time. Of course, if you have any situations or scenarios right now in your life that would require this lump sum money as priority, then definitely deprioritize paying off low interest debt. When I took a really long 7-week trip to Peru and New York right after graduation, and I completely overshot my budget of $6,000. So what ended up happening was I was very ashamed of telling my parents that. So I was kind of living off my friends for a while. So the first thing that I did when I got my first paycheck was to really pay them off. Obviously no interest was involved, but I thought it would be a good thing to do. And honestly, it gave me a peace of mind. Now, the second thing, like I've mentioned just now, is to really ensure the sustenance of your daily basic needs. I'm talking about keeping the water, the electricity, and the gas running at all times, keeping your home Wi-Fi and mobile data subscription plans, because access to internet is a basic human right, and obviously ensuring that you have access to nutritious, continuous meals at all time, ensuring that school fees are paid, and ensuring that transportation costs can be afforded. I know this period of time might be challenging for a lot of people, and some are going to feel the pinch a little bit more than others. I personally know several self-employed friends around me whose revenues and incomes have really been upended by the pandemic. Both of my parents are also self-employed, so on that point I really relate to the fluctuating incomes. So ensuring that these daily necessities are met will be the second priority that I have on my list after paying off high interest debt. Well, really the third thing then is to secure private health and life insurance. Now, I want to say this at the risk of coming off and sounding like an insurance agent, but this is super duper important, right? Yes, you might have health insurance provided by an employer, you might have a subsidiary plan from your parents, but what if your employment terminates really unexpectedly? We often discount what we perceive to be extremely rare events, but insurance by definition, right, is a financial protection of your assets and your worth against these types of events. I think insurance is really, really important because it helps us prepare for the unthinkable and the unexpected. I will be posting videos in the future about the different types of common coverages that millennials should be getting, so stay tuned for that. But seriously, go out there and get yourself a basic coverage plan from somebody that you can trust, somebody that you have a personal relationship with, so that they will, to the best of their ability, have your best fiduciary interest in mind. One fourth is really starting a rainy day savings account. I know when airlines got grounded, there were a lot of memes going around on Instagram and Facebook about, how, only if the big airlines had a rainy day savings account to bail themselves out. Well, it is true that these big airlines need to be called out for their financial malpractices in stock buybacks instead of having a large reserve of cash position to pay their employees during times of crises like this. And instead of following them, we shouldn't be discounting the idea of having a rainy day savings account as boomer fiction. So for me, I have about 3 months of expenses stored in a high interest savings account. I personally feel like I don't really need more than that. I know some people recommend 6 to 12 months. It really depends on your own risk appetite and your own assessment of your financial situation. The only reason why I only have 3 months is because I'm quite confident about my parents' financial abilities. I know for a fact that they have sufficient cash position to tide through the family, which is why I think 3 months is an appropriate timeline for me. Again, this is really in preparation of an unthinkable event, right? A lot of people might be saying, why do I really need a rainy day savings account? But what I'm saying is just because certain events are unthinkable doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, right? Probability doesn't really work that way. So for me personally, my rainy day savings account also doubles up as a cash flow mechanism in a scenario where my investments are not doing too well, but I don't really want to liquidate them, but at the same time, I have a dire need for cash right now for something that's like life or death. Obviously, having that 3 months of expenses saved up will be a great way to tide over that kind of scenario. Okay, lastly, and this is kind of like a cheat because it's not really a do, but it's more of like a don't. So don't spend anything that's unnecessary or cosmetic right now, or at least defer it till the end of the year or perhaps even 2021. And this honestly applies to your existing wages and not just the stimulus check that you might be getting or your first paycheck. So don't be tempted by like a sudden injection of $1,800 into your bank account and go like, wow, $1,800, that's just enough for like a new MacBook. So first of all, there's honestly no real need to get a MacBook unless you do heavy designing. And second of all, if your current device is working fine, then just defer this decision till the end of the year. I feel like I'm projecting a little bit right here because this is honestly a dilemma that I have been laboring over. So I've been really fanboying over the new iPad Pro, but honestly, when I took a step back and thought about it, did I really need that? Do I really need a new iPad? So what I'm recommending here is really twofold, right? First, save more money now if everything else is fine financially in your life, because that's capital that you should be accruing right now to invest. And the best time to invest is likely sometime soon, it's right around the corner. And the other side of this, right, is taking a step back to reevaluate why or if you need a certain purchase. Sometimes when the impulse passes over, you realize that you don't really need any of the things that you really wanted to buy. I feel like this whole lockdown period is going to be really good for me to reset my finances and reevaluate some of my purchasing choices. So that's the end of the video. I hope you have really enjoyed this video. And if you have, please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this and other great relevant content. I hope this helps everybody with deciding and prioritizing what they really want to do with the stimulus payouts and their first paycheck in this current climate. Thanks for tuning in to TNC. Until next time.